Oh, boy. You gotta laugh. You have to laugh, right? What else you do? What else can you do? You gotta laugh. Say it with me now. This fucking team. The Knicks win. The Knicks win. This was not quite as bad. Quite as heart palpitation inducing as perhaps some of the other just loads of fun experiences that we've had over the course of this season. It was close though. I want to get it out of the way because I feel like after a game like this, it's like I don't have time to take a shower, so I want to cleanse myself in some way. So I wrote it down. Here are the things, the egregious shit. Really, there was only three things, right? There was a horrendous possession by the Knicks with under a minute. The first possession with under a minute where they just ran nothing. And it resulted in like a very rushed Quentin Grimes 3. That was very bad. And then the awful, sorry, Julius, but awful foul on Kyle Kuzma. Thankfully, Kyle Kuzma did not hit one of the free throws. That turned out to be big. And then, hit your free throws, guys. Julius Randle missed one. Could have played a role. It didn't. Other than that, some questionable decision making by the part of, I think it was Mitch, in trying to guard KP. Gave him a little bit too much room on his threes in the fourth quarter for my liking, given their lead. But overall, as far as potential disasters go, I did not think that was for as bad as it was in the moment. It was okay. Nothing too crazy. All right, now that that's out of the way, we could talk about the rest of the game because most of this game I think was pretty good. This was an ugly game. This was a game in which neither team shot very well, unless your name was Jalen Brunson. The Knicks for the night were 44% overall and 8 of 29 from three for a sizzling 27% from deep. Not to be outdone, the Washington Wizards 38.7% from the field and 31% from three, which they definitely made some big shots they got going from three late in the game. So neither team shot well. Was it all the defense? No. I thought the Knicks missed a bunch of open shots. Quite frankly, I thought the Wizards missed a decent amount of open shots. The difference between that, and I'm not sure I could say this because I don't really think the Knicks have a whole bunch of great shooters, but I think the Knicks shooters are better than the Wizards shooters. And when the Knicks, I'm losing my train of thought. When the Knicks defenders were peeling off Wizards shooters to guard the drive, they were guys who just are not, like, have really poor percentages all year. The Wizards are not a good shooting team. And, it's not a shocker that you're going to see numbers like, Rui Hachimura 1 for 7 from three, Denny Avdija 0 of 4 from three. Like, I don't feel bad winning with numbers like that because, again, those guys are not great shooters above the arc. And plus, the gambit worked because the most important stat of the game, as far as I'm concerned, is points in the paint. They flashed it. Yeah, it ended up being 50-28 in favor of the Knicks. The Knicks absolutely dominated the Wizards in the paint, and they gave the Wizards nothing, really, anywhere close to the basket, which, considering the Wizards play, a traditional center alongside Kristaps Porzingis a lot of the time, to say nothing of Kyle Kuzma at the three, I think that is pretty impressive that the Knicks were able to limit them in that respect. So that was good. I thought it was a nice response by the Knicks coming off a game in which we all felt pretty bad about. I thought, again, there was more of the shooting woes in the first quarter that got them off to the slow start, but, give them credit. The Wizards had a couple opportunities in that game to kind of maybe not go and run away with it, but certainly give a little bit of a cushion. Knicks made a lot of big plays, and we will start, of course, by talking about the man, the myth, the legend, a guy who just when you thought his all-star case was dead, rising from the grave. It is Friday the 13th. Is this Friday the 13th where Jalen Brunson's all-star case officially comes out of the ground and starts terrorizing other Eastern Conference guards? Perhaps. He ended up with 34 points on 24 shots, just very silly. To go with 8 rebounds and 8 assists. I don't know how many Knick guards in the history of the franchise have had numbers like that. I will look that up after the game. He was awesome, and the Wizards didn't know what to do with him. He is, he's playing like the best player on a playoff team. He's that good. And not a play-in team. He's playing as well as the best player on a playoff team. Eventually these very silly lists that come out and still have him somehow ranked like outside of the top 50 of all NBA players. Like at some point, reality has to catch up to perception with this particular player. If he doesn't wind up making the All-Star team, he'll be like the first or second cut. If you ask me to bet on it right now, I think I'd bet that he's going to make it. Because this is a serious run. I think people are going to pay attention to it. And I think if the Knicks, continue to maintain 6th place, maybe even 7th place, they're going to reward someone. And I think just a lot of basketball people will look at this and they're going to be like, yeah, Randall's had a really nice season, but Brunson is the guy. The second dude that I want to shout out, making a habit of this, is Emmanuel Quickley. Emmanuel Quickley is the Knicks' 6th starter right now. I understand he is not starting games anymore since RJ Barrett came back. I, like everybody, was curious to see how they would deploy him after RJ returned. I was a little worried in the first game the first half of the first game when he played only 10 minutes in the first half. And I'm like, man, this dude, he's too good to be playing 20 minutes a game. I mean, that's a little ridiculous. Sure enough, left him on the court for 16 minutes in the second half against the Pacers. And then tonight plays 32 big minutes, goes 7 of 13 from the field, 18 points. The numbers, like, I don't know if the numbers ever do any player full justice. You have to watch the games and you have to see when they score, how they score, the other things that they do. And for Emmanuel Quickley, like, this was a real, the Knicks got up comfortably going into the last few minutes of the game, and that was a good job by them. But this was a neck and neck game. And when the Wizards made their push at the end of the third quarter, it's like every team makes a push. I thought that was their push. Made the run at the end of the third quarter, was sneaky, and it was after I believe it was after Mitchell Robinson foul. Oh no, sorry, it was after the big Randall dunk. As soon as the big Randall dunk happened, oof. Sorry, we'll take a step back. Just let's pause to appreciate that moment. We'll talk about that moment again in a second, actually. But it was after the big Randall dunk. It was a 6-0 run by the Wizards. They're right back in the game. It's a 1-point game. What happens? Emmanuel Quickley comes in, hits a couple big shots to start the fourth quarter. Another play of the game candidate that we're going to talk about in a minute makes a beautiful assist off an RJ pass to Hartenstein for what was an easy bucket. It was all, ended up being a 14-0 run. It was the run that essentially not put the game away, but like kind of sort of put the game away. Had an outstanding defensive possession with about three minutes into the fourth quarter where I forget who he was guarding, but it was just like the dude was trying so hard to draw the foul and quickly just stayed steady. And like, that's so hard. That's so hard. We saw Mitch get baited with it all night. And I don't know about some of those calls, but like he quickly does such a good job. And I know he got baited. He did get caught on the one in the corner. I think it was on Kispert, but like those will happen. By and large, though, his defense is just so sound. And I thought he was definitely the second best Knick in this game. And then, did anybody else play like super well? Not really. Randall was solid. I mean, 23 and 16, solid. I thought his defense was quite good, other than the atrocious foul call. He's losing the offense a little bit. I mean, 8 of 19, some shots that maybe you didn't love, only 1 assist. But I didn't mind Randall's game. I really didn't. And, he's playing at a level, even if it's not the stretch he was on, like the level he's playing at the last, last 3 games. Obviously his shooting has fallen off. I still think he's playing well. And his 3, by the way, that took the lead from 7 to 10 late. thought that was big. And he had another big basket late. So, like, good game from Randall. Not a great offensive game from Quentin Grimes, but outstanding defensively. I thought one of the reasons the game changed was when Tom Thibodeau switched Quentin Grimes onto Kyle Kuzma. Kyle Kuzma obviously had an amazing game, and he was killing RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett, this is one of the worst defensive performances you will ever see from RJ Barrett. Did not love that. And then Tibbs, nice in-game adjustment, switches Grimes onto Kuzma, helped steady that surge from Kuzma. Kuzma hit a corner three late. I tweeted it out. I thought the contest was outstanding by Grimes, and just the fact that he got there, didn't get hung up on a screen. It was a nice play design from the Wizards. So, yeah, good job by Grimes there. RJ had some nice moments. I mean, again, defensively, we don't need to harp on. It was not good. But offensively, he's starting to find it. I'm not worried about RJ. Talked about Quickley. You want to talk about Miles McBride, only played 8 minutes. Right now, it's a bit of a struggle for him offensively and defensively. Early in the fourth quarter against the Pacers, got taken right off the dribble by TJ McConnell to the lane to start the fourth quarter. Like, not really a whole lot of resistance. Again, similar play tonight. I think it was DeLon Wright took him straight into the paint, ended up getting called for an and one. Benji said this, I think, on our playback the other night. If you're Deuce McBride and you have these offensive limitations, you can't just be a good defender. You have to be a splash play defender, an outstanding defender, like a plus defender. And, I'm not going to get on his defense. Defense is still very good, but the offense is just, it's tough right now. The Hardenstein thing, I don't know. I have a feeling tonight. I'm curious what people are going to say about Hardenstein's game tonight, because I think you could watch this game and be like, oh, Hardenstein had some nice moments. And you could also watch this game and be like, man, when are we getting Sims? I mean, there were definitely a few times tonight where I was like, is this it? At the same time, it's tough to make a rotation change when you're winning. And right now the Knicks are winning. And we could end with that. It's another win. There's always quibbles. But I kind of keep going back to the same refrain with this team, which is that you look at what they're doing. You look at the numbers behind what they're doing. You look at the offensive rating. You look at the defensive rating. And, of course, most importantly, you look at the record. And they're 24-19. They're 5 games over 500. They have matched their season high for 24 games over 5 games over 500 at 24-19. Knicks PR just tweeted out they're 9-2 over their last 11 road games. Like, that's impressive to go on the road and perform that well, that consistently. I don't care who you're playing. It doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter who you're playing. To go 9-2 on a road stretch in the NBA season, they know what they're doing. Again, there are issues, late game stuff, fine. A rotation thing here or there, fine. 24-19, in good position in the East, and they still don't have what anybody seems to consider a no doubt about it, top 50 player. So it's a nice season. The nice season for the Knicks continues. On that note, before we get to the Super Chats, we are going to talk about our 3 candidates for play of the game. We will go from what I will deem the bottom up. My number 3 candidate for play of the game. Knicks lead was down to 7. Randall took a 3. I think it banked in. It went up to 10. Thought that was a big moment. Wizards had some momentum. That kind of quashed it. That's one. Number 2, the ball movement play I referenced earlier in kind of semi-transition. RJ, good decision to pull the ball back out quickly, as he does better than I think anyone on I think he might be the best cutter on the team. I'm trying to think if I'm misspeaking. Grimes is a really good cutter. Brunson's a good cutter. RJ can cut. They have some good cut. Randall's has some nice cuts this year. I think Quickley is the best cutter on the team. And Quickley cuts, and immediately the ball's barely in his hands, dishes it off to Isaiah Hardenstein for the bucket to put them up. I believe that put them up 10. That was at the beginning of the fourth quarter. And then what I assume will be the winner, the dunk of the year. Is there even another candidate for dunk of the year? I mean, the Obi dunk in preseason, I still remember that. That was against, I believe it was against Indiana. That was impressive. But as far as an in-game dunk in someone's grill and won the whole thing. I mean, that was good. That was good, Doug. All right. Those are our 3 play the game candidates. We will now, on beautiful Friday night, we got 2 days to go until the Knicks next game. Knicks will try to complete a 3-1 week against the Detroit Pistons on Sunday. Right? They played Detroit Sunday and then Toronto Monday. Or do I have my games mixed up again? It sucks getting old. Don't get old, anybody. Yeah, Detroit on Sunday. Go beat Detroit. Go beat Detroit. Get 6 games above 500. See how that feels. I bet you it feels good. Okay. We start Built Through Taj, the perfect title of our first super chatter. It was good seeing. There was before I even read the comment. There was a moment where the Knicks played a beautiful defensive possession, and the ball ended up in Taj's hands with like the clock was running out, and he like turned and faded away. The contest was great, and he just splashed it. Taj Gibson's so good. We got a shout out to the GOAT, Mike Miller. Is that Mike Miller, the former Wizard? I'm guessing it's Mike Miller, the former Wizard. Is it Mike Miller, the former Knicks coach? Mike Miller was a good Knicks coach. I like Mike Miller. Anyway, either way, it's fine. Thanks, Built Through Taj. Ryan Huang, is it farts that hashtag JB is him needs to be an all-star? And is it farts? Is it? I should probably know what farts stands for. I don't though, because I'm old. Needs to be an all-star, and it's the only reason why Tibbs' lack of an offensive game plan down the stretch can work. Sorry. Again, only in New York. Only in New York. Get the second comment in a post game for a team that is 24-19. Be about the coach stinks. The coach stinks. Yeah, he's an all-star. He's a fucking awesome player. He's great. Man, I hope you find happiness somewhere. Fucking team's playing great. It's really fun watching this team play. We're complaining about the offensive sets. Only in New York. Actually, that's not true. And that's kind of my point. That's always what I go back to about Tibbs and why nobody in New York is unique in the slightest, because 25 other fan bases do this for most of the year. There's like 5 fan bases at any given time who are happy with their coach. Everybody else thinks the coach sucks. So, welcome to pro sports fandom, I guess. Thanks, Ryan. Danny Gardner, what's going on, Danny? Aside from not attacking when they trapped and the Randall dump foul, I thought this was a much more of some tough shot making from the Wiz. Again, Danny, we're usually simpatico in terms of reading each other's minds. Not surprised by that. And some suspect officiating, then a panicky collapse. Good win. Yeah, I didn't sense panic. The one, again, I wouldn't call it panic. There was that one possession where it was like they weren't really making an effort to run anything. But it was one possession, No, sometimes one possession can be the difference. So again, you don't absolve, but you kind of take it in context, and you move on. You won the game. That's all that matters. Thanks, Danny. Appreciate it. As always. Kevin Danishevsky, what's going on, Kev? Nothing like rooting for this team. You know it. Jalen Brunson is just unreal, making that all-star push. More flexibility from Tibbs tonight. Yes. Another thing I didn't mention about Tibbs that I thought was important is he left Brunson in for a long time. Like, I know, Tibbs playing guys a billion minutes is like a point of contention, but like that was a tough part of the game. They needed to maintain the lead. They needed to get the lead. They needed to establish the lead until you could get Randall and Quickley in, if you want to throw RJ in there as well, in at the same time in the fourth quarter for that little spell. So the easiest way to do that was just leave Brunson on the floor, and you left Brunson on the floor for the first 17 minutes of the half, of the second half, and I thought it was a big thing. Quentin Grimes, not only putting Quentin Grimes on Kyle Kuzma, but bringing Quentin Grimes back into the game for RJ Barrett with 3 minutes left. And sure as shit, what happens? Quentin Grimes defends Kyle Kuzma, forces him into a tough 2-point shot, misses. Little things like that make the difference. Anyway, IQ sometimes looks like this team's best player. Here's my hot take for tonight. My hot take for tonight is I think we can begin to think about whether there's Emmanuel Quickley 6th man of the year potential here. That's interesting to me. I don't know if he's going to have the numbers, but in terms of the impact and if the Knicks do well enough, I don't think that's nuts. I'm going to look up some bench numbers in a bit, but I don't think that's nuts at all. Thank you, Kevin. AE Kennedy, what's going on, AE? The same thing happens every night. Hashtag a win. A win is a win. Yeah. Again, I'll side more with Danny that I didn't think this, like every game like this kind of has its own sort of characteristics. I thought their offense down the stretch, like, look, the Knicks had some obscenely low assist percentage tonight. It was very bad. It was as bad an assist percentage as you will ever see in an NBA game for a team that won the game. That's also kind of how the Knicks play, and you look at, there are some great offenses like the Warriors are the obvious one where their assist percentages in like, the high 60s or the low 70s. I mean, I was looking it up today. The Warriors starting five, their ideal starting five when they were all healthy, have an assist percentage like close to 80. And then you have teams with great isolation scorers that have assist percentages near the bottom of the league, and those are sometimes great teams. The fact of the matter is, right now with the Knicks, they don't have a lot of great passers. They don't have a lot of like super high IQ players, at least in terms of the guys that often have the ball. They have some, and they have one of the best isolation scorers in the league in Jalen Brunson, and they have another guy in Julius Randle who, has been pretty freaking good with the ball in his hands. And then you want to throw RJ Barrett into the mix in a very specific sense of like, he does what he does. He drives the lane, he throws lobs to Mitch, occasionally he kicks to the corner. Like, that's their offense. Is it the most sophisticated offense in the world? No. But what works is what works. And when you're a top 10 offense, without no doubt about it, top 50 player, that's why it's impressive. Thanks, AE. Appreciate it as always. Janky AF. Can I put my diapers away? Never with this team. Not just yet. Go Knicks Film School. Thank you, Janky. Appreciate it as always. Yanni Golan, what's going on, Yanni? Thank you for the generous contribution. Hey, KFS, good win, good team effort is Quickley better than RJ. Ooh, we're getting spicy, especially for this team. No, I don't want to go there. I don't. Look, when Quickley was back, when Quickley was in the starting lineup before RJ was back for those however many games it was with, and Brunson was in the starting five. You certainly saw moments. I think the answer would be yes if Quickley was more of a knockdown shooter. In addition to the other things that Quickley does, he might be that. A lot of us believe he will be that. He just hasn't. The numbers say he's not that yet. He doesn't fire away in an instant like Quentin Grimes. That's just not something he does right now. If he did, and did it consistently enough where, he was making a lot of those shots, like, I think that would then, yes. With the way their games are right now, I think there's an argument that Quickley is best in his role as the sixth man who is essentially playing starters minutes. I don't say that with a ton of conviction, but I know this. I know sitting here right now, like, do I believe that Emmanuel Quickley could be the sixth man on a championship team? That's without question. And I think he can thrive in that role. And it's a stat I think I've cited a couple times in the newsletter, and I probably said it on here, but like, no player on this team has been as malleable as Emmanuel Quickley as far as playing a ton of minutes with a ton of different players. and he's able to adjust seamlessly. Play with the starters, okay. Play with some of the starters, some of the bench, okay. Play with pretty much all of the bench, okay. The dude doesn't skip a beat, and that kind of malleability, I think, is what you need in a six-man. Does RJ have that same? I don't know. I guess RJ strikes me as more of a guy who needs benefits from that consistency. So I guess from that perspective, maybe RJ, it's another piece of evidence or an argument, not a piece of evidence, an argument where RJ might be better as a starter. I don't know. It's a great question, Yanni. It really is. It's a great question. Thank you for that. Chris Carter, what's going on, Chris? Off-season priority, bring back Taj. I wouldn't trade Emmanuel Quickley for Wilt Chamberlain. Who says no? IQ number 1 on the trade value list. Every minute Hartenstein's in the game is the worst moment of my life. Yeah, I didn't like it tonight. The moment where he had box out position on I think it was in the fourth quarter too. He had box out position on, I'm pretty sure it was KP. It might have been Taj. I think it was KP. I apologize that I forget. And he got called for the foul there. Man, you got to be fucking physical. You have to be able to be, you're a 7-foot human being. You have to be able to be physical there and complete that box out without being called for the foul. You just have to. And there was a moment in the first half where the ball, I think it was one of the Wizards got a lot of offensive rebounds in this game. I'm going to look up. It felt like a lot of offensive rebounds, at least. I'll look up what it is right now. But, it was a possession where they got 2 or 3 opportunities at the rim. Yeah, Wizards had 12 offensive rebounds, which, that's not ideal. And Hartenstein, he was right there. And he just didn't get his hands up. Now, he just doesn't have that, I guess, that sort of timing or that sort of that reaction timing, whatever it is. But it wasn't great. I didn't love it. I don't love his minutes. And I would be fine with a change. I'll say that. I'd be fine with a change. Dom Cappuccini, what's going on, Dom? Now, there's a dub we could be happy about. Now that I've deleted the Julius Randle foul on Kuz out of my memory bank. We back. Meanwhile, I have the Wolves-Suns game on in the background. I swear I looked up at the score 3 minutes ago, and it was a 20-point game, and now I'm looking up, and the Wolves are up by 12. I'm going to keep an eye on this one. The NBA in 2023, baby. It's fantastic. Thank you, Dom. Appreciate it. Soggy Buns 65. Again, the GOAT name for these super chats. Their late game execution is so embarrassing. Yeah, I mean it's not great sometimes. It's not great. But let's hope these close games build some character in these guys. The youth on this team needs that experience to take the next step. Yeah, again, I tried to boil it down to what I thought was the real bad stuff. But let me say this and I don't know if this is necessarily being critical of anyone. You could take it, I guess, as criticism of the coach. But they have really, really good isolation scorers in Brunson and Randall and, I guess to whatever extent RJ. They're not great isolation scorers. Even Brunson. He's awesome. But, he's also 6 feet tall. And you can neutralize him. There are ways to neutralize him. So when that is your go-to foundation of your offense late in games, and the other part of it, and you don't have knockdown 3-point shooters that you feel really confident in those situations being that's okay. As long as we kick it out to this player, they're not going to make every shot, but we know if we kick out to them enough times, even in big spots, they're still going to make enough of them when they're open. They really don't have that. Grimes is the closest thing they have to it, and he's a second-year player. He hasn't even played 82 games in the league yet. They really aren't well constructed to do super well in these types of situations when defenses bear down and we're not letting them beat us in this way. So what is your backup plan? And that is the valid criticism, because there are times where it's they just don't have a backup plan, or it doesn't seem like it. Now, I think you could probably say the same thing of a lot of teams. Like I always like to say, you watch any NBA game in the last 5 minutes of a close game, you're just gonna see a lot of ISO. That's what happens when defenses bear down and really dial in. It doesn't mean it's great. It's not. It's not ideal. Thanks, Soggy Bones. Appreciate it. Brian Benjamin, what's going on, Brian? If this is our offense playing Brunson 40 minutes a game, he might not last all 4 years of his contract. If this team is better than the We Here season, then I can't see it. Oh, I think they're better. I mean, the numbers are what the numbers are. They were a much higher ranked defense in the We Here season. They were the 4th ranked defense in the We Here season, but they were also the 23rd ranked offense. And when you're a bottom 10 offense, like, you can only do so much. This team has top 10 offense. Like Jalen Brunson over Elfrid Payton, Julius Randle's more efficient. I would go the other way. I think there is an argument that this team it's not even a discussion that this team is so that much better than the We Here season. As far as playing Brunson 40 minutes a game, that's because he's the best player on the team. If Jalen Brunson is the best player on the Knicks in 3 years, then everybody will have gotten fired in the front office. They will not have jobs anymore. So I hope that answers that question. Nicholas saying, what's going on, Nicholas? Do we ever run a play to get someone an easy shot? Everything seems like it's one guy trying to create. Yeah, they got a ton of easy shots tonight. They get a ton of easy shots every night. They take a ton of threes. They take a bunch of corner threes. They shoot a bunch of shots at the rim. They get a bunch of shots in the short mid-range. Their shot profile, their shot quality diet is just really high. They don't hit enough of them. Like I lost count of the amount of really good looks I thought they had in the first half, especially that they just didn't. I mean, there was that possession in the first half where it was Grimes wide open three, clanged, offensive rebound. Isaiah Hartenstein got it, and Quickley was right there in the corner, shot it right out Quickley in the corner. He boxed out whoever was the closest defender. Quickley could have, made himself a cup of tea and shot that ball, and he missed it. And there's a lot of those shots. This is what you're gonna go again. I could name you 10 teams that if you turn on these teams any given night, this is what you're gonna see. You're gonna see mostly isolation, a lot of high pick and roll, and everything comes off of that. It's all either shots at the rim, lobs, offensive rebounds, shots in the paint, or kickouts for threes. And I know it doesn't feel like they get a lot of easy shots, but even easy shots, for as much as people love to praise, the Spurs with their ball movement and this and the other thing, most of the time that stuff it comes off of advantage creation, and you need stars for advantage creation, and they don't have those sorts of stars. My go-to line that I always went to, I feel like last year, was it's not like you get the magic wand with all of the super secret plays in it. Could they be a more creative offense? Absolutely, they could be a more creative offense. But it's one thing to complain if the team is ranked in the 20s or even the teens in offense. If you're a top 10 offense, I don't know. I find it hard to complain. That's me, though. You may be different. Forgotten NYC, what's going on, Forgotten? Can we start the uncomfortable Obi bust convo yet? Nah. He's having a rough stretch. I'm not going there. Sorry. Thanks, but sorry. I'm not going there tonight. Brian with another one. The lack of adjustments will kill us in the playoffs. Playing Mitch on Kristaps was dumb for a defensive coach. We should have went small. Completely disagree with that. Mitchell Robinson is a guy that I feel like for 30 out of 40 games this season, I've had people in these comments talking to me about how he is a all-defense candidate. We've seen him guard on the perimeter. He knows how to guard on the perimeter. He's capable of guarding on the perimeter. He's capable of moving his feet on defense. He moved his feet brilliantly on defense on a couple of possessions in this very game. And then at the end of some of those plays, he lost his composure at the last second, got called for a foul. He's capable. He did not defend up to his level tonight. And the notion that you are, I'm not saying it's not a decision to make, but the notion that you just, because you're worried about that specific matchup and you have that little faith in a guy that, again, a lot of people want to put on the all defense team around here. that you're willing to sacrifice the rim protection and the offensive rebounds. To say nothing of the defensive rebound, he's becoming an elite defensive rebounder too. The willingness to sacrifice, at least in comparison to Hartenstein, the willingness to sacrifice all those things for that matchup. I don't see it. This is another one of those comments that it's the this is, again, I'm not never try to hide anything from anybody. This is the stuff that gets under my skin, where it's like, oh, people are looking for shit to complain about because they just don't like the coach. Which is fine. Everybody has their prerogative. Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it as always. Busy, what's going on, Busy? Had to watch the entire game on my phone because someone thought it was a good idea to let my toddler have a free pass Friday. Spoiler alert, it wasn't about me. Hashtag, let me get this. Hope he enjoyed his Paw Patrol. That's great. Hashtag, let's go Knicks. Busy, I appreciate you. I appreciate also our spirited discussions, not only here, but in the Discord. Shout out to all of our patrons. My story from tonight is at halftime, we watched a few minutes. My daughter was up late tonight, so that's why I didn't do the halftime soon. So my daughter was up late. My wife got sick again. It's not a thing to be a member of my household and not have somebody sick. Someone in my household has to be sick at all times. So my wife went to bed early with the baby. My older daughter was up late with me. Watched, she was doing like some kind of coding thing on her iPad for a while. But then she was sitting watching the Knicks with me. Halftime came. Watched a little bit of Warriors, Spurs. And then I flipped up to ESPN2, and it was gymnastics. And my daughter's been in gymnastics for several years. So she's like, oh, there's gymnastics on TV. And it was female college gymnastics. So we sat and watched gymnastics for a few minutes. And then I got, the Knicks game was on. So I'm like, the Knicks game's on. She's like, I want to keep watching gymnastics. So I'm like, and then at that moment, when I was watching the Knicks game on my phone for about 5 minutes until she was like, all right, I'm done with gymnastics, we can watch the Knicks game again. I was like, this is true love. This is the meaning of true love that a parent can have for their child. There's not another human being on the face of the earth that could get me to have women's gymnastics on my television over the Knicks game. A close Knicks game, albeit. But for my daughter, I happily did it. So, gymnastics, Paw Patrol, 6 of one, half dozen the other. Busy, right? As I drink from her S cup. Hamdy M, what's going on, Hamdy? To be honest, it's hard to win on the road. Yeah, it is. They're 9-2 in their last 11 road games. Can we maybe pay? You are two others. What do you call it? Let's be happy about the things that are going really well. To be honest, it's hard to win on the road. So good road trip or good road win. I hope this helps the confidence because it's all about the confidence at this point. Quick observation. Emmanuel Quickley is slowly becoming a solid two-way player. I don't think he's slowly becoming anything. Honestly, he was a solid two-way player as a rookie. I thought his defense as a rookie was pretty good. Last year, I think there's an argument that he was their, all things considered, I think there's an argument that he was their most consistent two-way player on the season. And this year, yes, Emmanuel Quickley, very solid two-way player. Completely agree. Good comment, Andy. As I am in the process of looking up Emmanuel Quickley, where he ranks in terms of the bench versus starter stuff, because I think there's a real case there. Okay. Next up, Adam K. What's going on, Adam? One day, all this agita will be worth it for us old heads. But man, this is a fun core to root for, even if it amounts to a first round knockout. I like this core a lot. Brunson's a ton of fun. It's so great. I mean, just to root for a guy that takes tough shots and makes tough shots, like, you turn on any NBA game and you're gonna see one of those guys. That for 20 years, 20 some odd years, we turn on NBA games for other teams, and we saw those guys. And more than that, really, because Patrick, in Patrick's later years, he wasn't really that, So really, you could go back like 25. Now he had Melo Melo was as good a tough shot maker as anybody, but he also wasn't exactly not always the most efficient guy for all those years. You want to give me Marbury? Okay. You want to give me KP for that bright shining moment? Okay, I'll hear that. And even Randall 2 years ago, like, certainly made a lot of tough shots, but not to the extent that this guy does. This guy, like, there was one bucket that stuck out. I wrote it down about for when it was. I think Brunson unreal. That was my comment. It was when whatever their 70th and 71st points were, where it was just he held the finish, and you just knew it was going in, and it was nothing but net. I'm going on and on against Brunson. I know you're talking about the fun core. There's other guys, but it to me, it has to start with the best player. You have to feel like, going into battle, you have a chance because of that number one guy. And I think you feel that way with Brunson. And then, all the other guys. It is a fun core. Not the deepest of teams, but a fun core. And will it result in a first round knockout? Probably. Probably. That's okay. That's okay. This year. Thanks, Adam. Jacob Slavitt, what's going on, Jacob? SB's the fucking captain we deserve. Yes. Shaky game from Julius, but I won't complain as long as we win. Yeah, shaky. Shaky. You know what? That's a great word to describe Julius's game today. But shaky. We're a playoff team. We need a depth trade, and we're off. That's the thing I was thinking when I looked and I saw the 8 deuce minutes before. I wonder if okay, I'll make a bold prediction. So cue up your recorders. How do you I don't know. People I see myself on Twitter the next day occasionally, so I know people can record these things. I don't know how the hell you do it. But cue it up. My prediction. Old takes exposed here or whatever. My prediction is between now and the deadline, they will make a trade in which they acquire a player who will become a part of their rotation. That is my prediction right now. I have a funny feeling. Don't know anything. Nothing. Don't know a single thing. And I would certainly not be so bold as to be like, oh, it's going to be this player going out or that player going out. The only thing I would feel comfortable saying is that it's not going to be any of the core 6 going out. So the starters and Quickley. But yeah, I think they'll make a depth move, because I think they really do want to see, like, you know what, you really need 7 guys to give it a run in the playoffs. They have 6. Could they get a 7th guy, like a real 7th guy? I'm not saying Obi's like not potentially a 7th guy. It's just, you can't bank on it right now. They have 6 players you could bank on. If they get a 7th you could bank on, not saying it's the right move, but that's my prediction. Thanks, Jacob, for inspiring that little monologue. Haitian Ferg, what's going on? Haitian, IQ was a game changer in both halves. Completely agree. Player of the game for me. Oh, over Brunson? Damn. That's bold. That's a bold take, Haitian. These close games are going to build character over time as we continue to win them. Let's go Knicks. I hope so. I still don't love them. I don't, but character building? Sure. I'm here for character building. I'm here for character building, absolutely. Emmanuel Quickley, by the way, see, here's the problem. His scoring average in coming off the bench is not high. His scoring average off the bench is, again, this is just bench scoring. So this is 35 games. He's averaging 10.5 points a game scoring off the bench. Now, obviously, so first of all, the Knicks have played 43 games. So that means he has 8 games in which he's a starter. And I'm fairly certain he's averaging close to 20 in those games. So whatever. I'm not going to do the math right now. But off the bench only, he's averaging 10.5 points a game. You still factor in the whole stats. As long as he's majority of games off the bench, he's going to be in the running for this. Here are some of the guys in terms of like your leading scorers in the league off the bench who I think are going to have a case for this award. Ben Mathurin, the rookie, Now, are they going to give a rookie the Sixth Man of the Year award? Maybe. Might depend on where they finish. Maybe he gets inserted as a starter for the Pacers, but as of now, he's certainly one of the leading candidates. Christian Wood is going to start himself enough games to be out of the running for that, so I don't think he's a consideration. Norm Powell, but the Clippers are kind of a disaster. Russell Westbrook, I know, is the betting favorite right now. I'm sorry, but I do not think voters are going to vote for him. Just my 2 cents. And then you go down the list. Jordan Poole's going to wind up starting, I think, a lot of games. I think he might take himself out of the running. And then you start going down the list and you start, talking about guys from like Malik Monk. Okay, there's a name. I don't think he's more valuable to his team than Emmanuel Quickley. Guys like Malik Beasley, Jazz, Burks, our old friend Alec Burks, Detroit. Brogdon. Maybe Brogdon should be the real leader in the clubhouse. Him or Bobby Portis. I would say one of those two. So Brunson could certainly get on the ballot with those guys. Can he beat out a Bobby Portis for a Sixth Man of the Year? Man, it would have to take some numbers. The Bucks would probably have to fall off a little bit. And then Brogdon, I think, I don't know. Again, I don't know what the odds are right now, but I think Brogdon, I would imagine, is probably going to get a lot of votes. And I'm sure there's a player or two I'm forgetting. But, just looking down the list of guys who score a ton of points off the bench, I don't think it's out of the question that Quickley could get himself in the running. Not at all. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk, by the way. Stevens Guillaume, what's going on, Stevens? Had to wait up to 1 a.m. to watch this game because I'm in Nigeria right now on vacation. Shout out to you. I hope you're having a good time. I wish I could go to Nigeria on vacation. And my best friend's getting married. Oh, congrats to him. Mazel tov. Glad we got the W. Hashtag Brun him. Hashtag Emmanuel. Hashtag 2 All-Stars. Who's your second All-Star? Is it Quickley? That's almost what you're implying. I love it if it is. That's great. Have a good time, and thanks for checking in from halfway around the world, Stevens. Appreciate it. Nick Riedza. What was Tibbs thinking playing 3 guards when they have 4 forwards on the floor in crunch time? That and the Bonehead Randall thing almost lost the game. I love KFS. Go Knicks. Those are your best defenders. It's tough because that's the thing that they're missing, right? And that's why I think you're going to continue to hear the OG Anunoby trade rumors. And even if they don't trade for him before the deadline, and I don't think they will trade for him before the deadline, I think you will continue to hear OG Anunoby trade rumors into the summer, at which point, I just have to say this, it'll be much easier to trade RJ Barrett because they are missing that big wing defender. Like the fact that and it was the right move, that they had to put Quentin Grimes, who is 6'4" or 6'5", whatever the hell, 6'4.5", on Kyle Kuzma, who is, what is Kuzma, 6'9", I think. That tells you all you need to know about where this team's defensive depth is as far as, the guys that they have and don't have to guard those really good wings. And that's to answer your question. I mean, was it the right move? I don't know. Seems like a fair critique, but I didn't have an issue with it. Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it. Tom Cappuccini, believe it or not, Hartenstein was a plus 12 in 19 minutes. I believe it because of who we played with. I don't know if that tells me that he played necessarily a great game. I've been a critic, and he had a few meh moments, but I'll take it, man. Yeah, I mean, I think he had some nice moments. I would like to see more. Or I would like to see Jericho Sims. That's the real answer. But thanks, Tom. Appreciate it. As always. Bad Eyesight. What's going on, Bad Eyesight? What do you think of a potential Obi for Nas Little swap? I have not paid attention. What is Nas Little up to this year? I'll look it up right now. I don't. Well, let me finish reading your comments. They play spread pick and roll in Portland, and Little is a big wing on a great contract. Yes, I know they just extended him. I love Obi, but I think we all rather pay IQ. Nas is on a great contract. Yeah, not would they sign Nas to like 3 for 30 or something like that, or 4 for Is it even less than that? Is it like 4 for under 30? I know it's a good deal. I know it's a good deal, whatever it is. I think it's actually like 4 for 20 something. Now that I'm thinking about it, now you're going to get me to look this up. I'm sorry. This is exceptional post game podcasting. But Nas Little's good. But like, why would the Blazers want to give him up? That's, I guess, 4 for 28. That's a really nice contract. I don't see the Knicks selling on Obi Toppin. First of all, I don't see another team giving up a player that is good and important to them. Now, Nas hasn't been playing. I don't know, is he, again, that's why he's kind of out of sight, out of mind. Yeah, he's out with a mild femoral head impaction fracture. Okay, but before that, he was playing 15 minutes a game. You know, like they just signed him to an extension. Are they out on him just because he's hurt? I don't know. I don't. Also, oh no, the money would work out. I gotta tell you, it's not crazy. I just don't see the Knicks doing it. I think they. This is gonna sound nuts. I still think they're high on Obi Toppin. Rightly or wrongly, I still think they're high on Obi Toppin. I don't know if they're selling him for Nas Little. I like Nas Little too. It's a good contract. Thanks, Bad Eyesight. I appreciate it. Cactus Shack. RJ gets too much money to be this bad defensively. Gonna let that one sit and present it without comment from me. Thank you for the comment and contribution. He's got to get better. Juanon, what's going on, Juanon? How you doing? Saw this live in my KFS hat. Hey, I think they're still scraping Gafford's body off the court. That's mean but true. The Wizards have 0 fans, rivaling the Nets for most garbage fan base. Anyone want a Kuzma bobblehead? I think it'd be a fun thing to have. I'm not gonna like pay money for it, but like, I think it'd be a fun thing to have. The one they showed on TV, like the arms were detached for some reason, which seems strange to me. As far as the Wizards having 0 fans, like, man, if you were a member of that fan base, like, would you be excited about anything right now? I don't know. Not really. Sad but true. Thanks, Juanon. Appreciate it. I just pulled up, by the way, according to one website, these are the 6 man of the year odds at the moment. So all guys I mentioned, Westbrook, Poole, Brogdon, Powell, Mathurin, Portis, Monk, Bogdanovich for Atlanta. I don't see that happening. Oladipo, Beasley, Bones Highland is a name that I saw and thought about it. I don't see it. Quickly right now, at least according to this site, is about long odds. Long odds, like 100 to 1 sort of odds. Oh no, this is 75 to 1. This one, Caesars has him at 75 to 1. Okay. He could make a run from 75 to 1. There's only like 12 guys ahead of him. Not impossible, right? I put a few dollars back on that. Cactus Shack. Oh, here we go. This is the comment. I was waiting for someone to bring it up. I listened to offers for Porzingis. Still got it. So for anybody who missed it, there was an article on NBA.com that came out today in which Kristaps Porzingis gave a very, I would say, revealing, and I wouldn't define it as apologetic article, but definitely an article that shows, or at least he purports to show, some modicum of regret and reflection since his Knick days, and says he would have handled things differently. And yeah. Don't want to say this. I have a feeling that article was not unnoticed within the walls of Madison Square Garden. That is what I will say. I think Porzingis, to me, reading that article, that screamed to me that he would welcome a return to the Knicks. Now, he's going to probably be entering free agency this year. I would imagine he's going to decline the player option on his contract, although you never know that. Knicks obviously don't have any cap space. Not that that's stopped potential deals from happening before. When there's a will, there's a way. I don't know. The tough part about it is like, they have Julius Randle, obviously. They still have Obi Toppin. And they have Mitchell Robinson. The pickle of it is with Porzingis. Andrew just texted me. No. That's all he texted me. He texted me no. The pickle of it is, we're whatever we are, year 8 into Porzingis' career, and we still kind of don't know what position he is, which I guess you could look at it as a benefit. But like, seriously, what's his ideal position? Do you want to play him at the 5? If so, like, how's that going to look? Do you want to play him at the 4? Yeah, I don't know. It's not the conversation to have right now. I have a funny feeling though. It is a conversation that this is not going to be the last time this comes up. I'll just say that. Thank you, Cactus Jack. Appreciate it. Fan 94 Nick. Kuzma needs to be a Nick. Tell your boy Leon. Yeah, I don't think Leon's talking to me. I mean, look, he had 40 points tonight. He's getting paid with a number that starts with a 2, and I would bet it's closer to a 3 than a 2. I don't know. Bondi actually tweeted this out tonight. I don't know that I want to be the team that's paying Kuzma like that sort of money. I'm not saying you can't. I think he was the 3rd best player on a championship team. Now, he's playing in an ideal role for him and for that team. On that team, he's a really good player. I just said it with Porzingis. This guy's gonna be a free agent, So, and the Knicks have no cap space, so it's like, what? There has to be a mechanism to getting him. Does it make sense as far as the order of your team building? Like you can build a contending team and overspend on guys who are not like your top guys. You could do that. But there has to be an order to it, because if you go out of order, it could prevent you, and likely will prevent you from doing the things that you like need to do later, and to maneuver a way to like go and pay Kyle Kuzma 4 years and over $100 million. Like, I don't know if that's where the Knicks need to be at. Kuzma's a good player though. He's a good player for sure. He's a good player. Anthony Sixto, what's going on, Anthony? Appreciate you chiming in with the generous contribution. Digging around on stats for blown leads, and then the Athletic drop data from Seth Partnow. Blown leads aren't a Knicks issue. It's the modern game. Watched with a little less stress. Hashtag Claudio comeback. I'm still alive for the week, most importantly. By far, just that is by far the most important thing. Let us say that. The better stat, I think, than the blown lead stat, and shout out to Fred Katz, because he kind of had an addendum to that article that dropped today in his 10 things he's noticed in the first half of the season for the Knicks, is that the one area that the Knicks are very close to the bottom of the league and not where a lot of teams are, is they don't have a lot of comebacks from being down double digits. And I think part of the reason why there are so often Knicks games where they will go up and not be able to bring the big win home is because they don't have that extra gear to take whether it's a 15-point lead to make it 30 or a 20-point lead to make it 35 or something to go run away and hide, because they're just not that sort of team as far as building or the roster built with a lot of guys who are comfortable firing away from deep and want to fire away from deep and have a lot of experience firing away from deep and the whole thing. They don't default to that. That's not their DNA. Their DNA is very much inside the arc. And Fred's point in the article today was that it can be perceived by us as like, oh, it's an inordinate amount of the bad and there's none of the, but that's partially because there's the shoe never is on the other foot here. We don't have big comebacks from being down. So I think those things are important. The only other thing I'll say is like they have won 8 games this year by 19 or more points. You know, like that's a third of their wins. They've won by 19 or more. That's not nothing. You know, I'm not saying it's everything, and it's against bad teams, obviously, but that's something. Thanks, Anthony. Appreciate that as always. The Timberwolves did eke out that win over the Suns, if you were wondering. Bulls lost also to the Thunder. Man, Thunder making that play-in push. Goodness gracious. Low from the Bronx. What's going on, Low from the Bronx? Brunson is an all-star. I said if we beat the teams we should and hover around 500 versus contenders, the fifth seed almost blew another one, but it looks like they're learning how to win. IQ has to come around, or has come around. New York Knicks are tough. You packed a lot in there. I appreciate that. You packed a lot into that comment. I don't know about the fifth seed. I know Kevin Durant is hurt right now. I still think the Nets are going to finish ahead of us. I don't think that there are any other teams currently ahead of us that I would foresee falling back. I think the 6th seed should be the goal, and I think the 6th seed is a great goal. And if they get the 6th seed, then they should have a fucking parade in the Eastern Conference this year, where there are 13 teams really playing hard to win games, and like one of the teams that isn't really playing to win or not. I'm not saying they're not trying to win games. Like that team employs LaMelo Ball, and then there's another team that is like hanging on apparently to like Alec Burks and Bojan Bogdanovic, who are really good players and like it is a brutal conference. It's a brutal conference, and if the New York fucking Knicks get the 6th seed in that conference, kudos, man. Kudos to them. I think that would be great. Thanks, Low from the Bronx. Brian Lest. What's going on, Brian? Perspective for an evening. For all the Tibbs shade, he's given us 2 of the 3 best Knicks seasons of the last 20 years. Not perfect, but remember Derek Fisher. Yeah, or just say any of a dozen coaches over the last 20 plus years. 11 coaches, I guess we should say, because Woody was a great coach. Yeah, I'm not going to elaborate. I don't need to elaborate on that. Thank you, Brian. KD Nephew DBN. Miles McBride, good defense but horrible offense. Makes me hope the Knicks will go after the Bulls' Alex Caruso via Cam and or Derrick Rose trade. So what is it? Caruso's about 10. He's, I'll say this about Caruso. He's at good salary. It's funny. You could do either of those trades, I think. Maybe not Cam, because Cam is under 6. So he doesn't. So you might have to do Cam and something. I would have to look. I would have to look at Caruso's exact salary. But like whatever. That's not the point. The point is like, are the Bulls trading Alex Caruso? And the Bulls are only trading Alex Caruso if they're blowing it up. And there's no indication yet that the Bulls want to blow it up. I will say this. If the Bulls ever did want to blow it up, oh boy, would there be a laundry list of contenders looking to get Alex Caruso to play 20, 25 minutes a game for them. Because that dude is just an absolute difference maker. And yeah, he's really good. The Knicks would do well to get him. That said, like, he's an incredible defender, but I don't know that that's the guy that I would go after if I was the Knicks, because he is like famously like the lowest usage heavy minute player in the league. He doesn't shoot it. He can shoot it. He doesn't shoot it. So like, all right, you want to say like Deuce is a terrible offensive player. Deuce shoots it. He's not completely scared to shoot it. He shoots it. He makes some of them too. Caruso doesn't shoot it either. So like, that's almost as bad. I feel like Caruso should go to a team, or if I'm paying the price that it's going to take to pry Caruso, I'm a team that I don't mind if he doesn't shoot it that much. Like the Knicks, if the Knicks are going to make a move like that, they're going to make a move for offense. A guy that could defend enough because they already have Evan Fournier, but like they're going to make a move for offense. I think that would be my guess. Hush Zoo, what's going on, Hush? Is IQ ineligible for Sixth Man of the Year because he has started some games? Now you have to start a goodly amount of games. I don't know what the exact number is. I want to say the number is in the. Is it? It's like you could start a decent number of games and still be eligible for that award. I don't know what the exact number is. I apologize, but he's going to be eligible, barring like an injury that I don't want to talk about. Thanks, Hush. Danny with another one. Hate that the fan base always pits these guys against each other. Did it with Cam and Grimes in the beginning of the season. They're all good players. They're easy to root for. Let's enjoy it. I'm loving it. I'm really enjoying this season. I understand some of the losses have been very bad, and I understand the process is not ideal for everybody. But they are playing like they've played 43 games, right? Given their preseason win prediction, they should have 20, maybe 21 wins right now. They have 24. So they're playing over their heads, and we have legitimately 2 All-Star candidates. Like, how cool is that? How much fun is that? It's good. It's good stuff. There's good development happening. Young players are getting better. Not every young player, but enough. It's great. I completely agree, Danny. I love it. Hey, Pastor Claudio, a win is a win. They don't give style points. They just count wins. Mr. Pastor Claudio, thank you as always for your generous contribution, and thank you more importantly for your son, who is off tonight, I should say. We got Justin Palmer on the ones and twos behind the scenes. But it's great to hear from you as always. Leo Skorupski. What's going on, Leo? Thank you, KFS, for always being the best content out there. That's undeserved, but thank you. I appreciate it, and thank you for the very generous contribution. A win is a win, but also trade Isaiah Hardenstein. We really need to have a longer conversation at some point. Maybe me and Jeremy will have it on a pod where we have some spare time one day. Like, who is the team that really wants him? Like, we've discussed teams like the Clippers, the Warriors. Like, there are teams who he would fit in well with, but like, are those teams giving up? You know what? Forget that. Are those teams willing to move the salary necessary to take on him? Those are also tax-paying teams where if you're the Clippers or Warriors, every additional dollar you spend, costs you like, $8 billion or whatever it is. So for a guy that, like, there may be other teams, but like those are the 2 teams that I feel like get mentioned a lot. For a guy that might not see the floor for you in like the conference finals or the finals, because that's what those teams care about. Like, do you want to take on $9 million worth of salary next year or $8 million worth of salary, whatever it is? And the tax implications that come with that, to say nothing of like what you're giving up to get him, like the salary you have to move, that salary may be something that's an important part of your team. I don't know that he's going to be the easiest guy to move. I'm just being honest. Until the summer. The summer, though, I think they could find a new home for him if they want to. And that's the other part. I'm not sure they're dying to move him. It might be. I'm not sure, though. Thank you, Leo. Appreciate that. Great jersey in your picture, by the way. ML Nair. Brunson refuses to let this team lose. The eye test tells you that this front office has to pay and keep Emmanuel Quickley. Simply put, he is a winning player. My biggest hope, like, there are things in the NBA that you cannot control. I think we can acknowledge that. There are things in the NBA that you cannot control, and then there are things that you can control. When you draft a player and in the first round, you can control that player's rights after their initial contract is up. I don't want this to be an issue at all moving forward. It should not be a question unless Emmanuel Quickley is like a huge part of a trade, or say, I shouldn't say huge, a meaningful part of a trade that nets you a true star player. Unless he is that, and I don't think he's gonna be, there is no reason to get rid of him. He has shown you enough. Pay the man what he wants to be paid, within reason. But I'm sure there's a number that both sides could come to and be happy about. It is very clear at this point that his role here is big enough that I would imagine he's going to be happy with moving forward. Brunson's out, Quickley starts. Grimes is out, Quickley starts. RJ's out, Quickley starts. He's your sixth man. He's going to start with any of those guys are out. I mean, shit, you could even, if Randall's out, you could start him and just slide over to the RJ over to the 4. I don't think they would do that, but like, the role is there. The money should be there. Like, what are we missing? What are we missing? I want to see a contract extension agreed to with him. It doesn't have to be like at the beginning of free agency. Those are for like rookie maxes. Take it to October. I don't care, but like, get a deal done with him before next season. And God knows, don't trade him. He's just too good for that. Meanwhile, what I'm trying to look up here hastily, you mentioned Jalen Brunson refuses to let this team lose. So he was like whatever he was from the free throw line for a period of time. I think he was like 8 of 19 or something like that. Jalen Brunson from the free throw line. So tonight from the free throw line, Jalen Brunson went 7 of 7. Coming into tonight, Jalen Brunson from the line. Last game, 9 of 9. Game before that, 10 of 10. So that means Jalen Brunson has made 26 consecutive field goals. And I'm fairly certain the previous game before that, he was 5 of 7. I'm going to have to go look. I think depending on when he missed those free throws, the 2 free throws in the prior game, I mean, is he around like 30 straight made free throws? That's pretty good for a guy that we had free throw issues, concerns with not long ago, or some people did. Thank you, ML. Sam Garcia's dad, cha-ching! That's the sound of my Knicks ringing up another win. I don't care about the trade deadline. I'll ride with this team. I'm fine if they keep it the way it is. I like this team. It's a fun team. I think they're going to make a trade. I'll stick with that. Thank you, Sam Garcia's dad. Tom Cappuccini with one more. To be noted, Jalen Brunson's latest surge is reminiscent to me of Julius 2 years ago in the month before the All-Star game. This is a great call. The contract is not looking so bad. Man, that contract was a good contract the day they signed it. IQ for 6th man of the year. Yeah, and I've referenced this before when the first All-Star pods first dropped 2 years ago. Randall was like on the, oh, he's having a nice season, we should mention him portion of the podcast. 30 or so games into the season. And then, like you say, in the month leading up to the All-Star break, he became like, oh, yeah, Julius Randle. I guess he's a no doubt about it All-Star. Okay, cool. That's great. It has to go on a little bit longer. We got to see it for him to really lock up a spot in this East with this competition. I mean, I hate, it's crazy to say, but he almost needs to keep this pace going for like another 2 weeks, which is insane at the rate he's going. But like, that's what it would require for him to like lock up a spot. I think he's going to get in though. I think he's going to get in. Thank you, Dom. SB Gorilla, what's going on, SB? That Obi bust comment was ridiculous. I agree. I'm sorry. It's his fault that he makes the extra pass, sees the cutter. Oh, and make the alley-oop pass when he sees it, which isn't reciprocated. # unselfish. I like Obi Toppin. My thing with Obi, it always comes back to the same thing. What are the minutes he's getting here, and how is he being used? And are those things conducive to big-time success? I'm still a believer in Obi Toppin. So, yeah. Good stuff. Dom Cappuccini, Taj or Hart, though? I don't think too hard. You know the answer to that question. Taj, man, somebody in our Discord tonight, we were talking briefly about like the bench was really good last year and it's not good this year, obviously. And like, yeah, some of that has to do with Derrick Rose. He got 20 some odd good games of Derrick Rose off the bench last year, and Alec Burks, when he played off the bench when he wasn't playing point guard, was like really, really impactful. Quickly got to play off of those guys, and then he went on his run late in the year. But like last year's bench had Taj. Like that was really helpful. He's just good, and like when you put him under Tibbs, like he just knows what to do and the whole thing. Miss Taj, love me some Taj. I should have wore my Taj T-shirt tonight. Frank Sound, what's going on, Frank? Shout out Jalen Claudio playing heavy minutes for KFS. I love it. Thank you, Frank. Kevin Danishevsky. By the way, I want to get there with IQ 6-man of the year. With the shooting, it's probably not there. He's so fantastic, but just get to 35% from deep. By the way, I would take Noel back to replace Hardenstein. I wouldn't. We got Sims. Sims is good. Just play Sims. He's right there. He's on the fucking team right now. Yeah. Yeah, maybe the shooting holds back quickly, but like we've seen guys win that award who didn't have great efficient, like were not efficient, but they were very high volume guys. Now, Quickley is neither high volume nor terribly efficient, but he also has a much more diverse, well-rounded game, and he's such an impactful two-way guy. I guess the tough part is like ultimately voters are probably going to look at him and be like, well, he's not like a shutdown defender. Like Andre Iguodala, like he never won it, which is egregious, but like that dude came in and he was just a shutdown defender you could put him on the opposing team's best wing. And he did enough on offense. With Quickley, he's not that level of defender, and his offense is much more subtle, and the numbers are going to be a little bit quieter. So I think that's probably why you're probably not going to get a real case. But like, I don't know, man. If the on-off numbers are going to be freaking great, they really are. Oh, that's what I was going to look up before. The Quickley's on-off numbers for tonight. Because he was really good. Quickly was only a +3 tonight. I think he was on the floor early in the first half. He was on the floor for like a Washington run when he didn't really have a whole lot of support. I think he was out there with RJ. Brunson, team high, +19 tonight. Good stuff from Jalen Brunson. Juanon with another one. iHeart makes sense in Denver. Okay, we can talk about this. Works under the cap for Ish Smith or Jeff Green's expiring, and he could schematically fit Denver when Jokic is off the floor. You know what? Juanon? I wish I had one of my daughter's like little like gold star stickers. I would give you a gold star sticker. I want to check the contracts and whatnot, but like that sure seems to make a lot of sense. Now, they have that's Zeke Naji in Denver, who is really good player for them and like an emerging player, and he always seems to do nice things when he's on the floor. They're also in first place, and is that the move they want to make? No, it doesn't mean they don't have to only make one move. They can make multiple moves. But like, yeah, Zeke Naji. So like last night, for instance, against Phoenix, like Zeke Naji played 20 minutes. He had 15 points. Naji's good. Now, Naji could play the 4. I don't watch enough Denver to know, sit here and be like, oh yeah, Naji makes a ton of sense at the 4. Like I can't sit here and say that. It's not. You're not. It's. I like it though. I don't know. I'd make a phone call at the very least. Thanks, Juno. Owen Ruley, Doug McDermott? Question mark. I love Doug McDermott. Here's the thing: if you're going to trade for Doug McDermott, you have to go get Kyle O'Quinn. There's your new backup center. Trade Isaiah Hartenstein to Denver. Have Denver send salary to San Antonio. Dougie McBuckets comes back here, and then we go get Kyle O'Quinn from I don't know what country he's playing in right now, but it's not here. And rekindle that relationship. I love Dougie McBuckets. I don't know that we were talking about this on the playback when we played the Spurs. Can he defend could Doug defend at a good enough level to stay on the court for a team in like the conference finals? I don't know the answer to that question at this point. I love Doug though. Doug's good. Greg, film stuff. What's going on, Greg? Appreciate it. As always, very generous with the contributions. Thank you. I don't know two players in the East who are as deserving reserves as Brunson and Randall for the All-Star Game 23. With the Washington win, it's hard to really be mad at this team. Obviously, you're preaching to the choir there. IQ's elevation into the super sub I knew he could be makes New York legit. I think, well, as far as reserves for the All-Star Game, look, it's a tough conference. It's a tough conference. I'm going to do a Patreon next week with Andrew, and we're gonna nail down our All-Star teams. As far as Quickley being a super sub, making them legit, like I don't want to call it emergence because that implies that like Quickley wasn't a huge positive factor for this team last year. Quickley being what Quickley is, and Grimes being what Grimes is. To know that those are two guys that I think if you're a contending team, can have on the floor for upwards of 30 minutes a night. I think that's really big in your calculations moving forward about like the luxury you have to make other moves. Because to have that stability at those two positions, and again, like those guys are not, they're not your star players, but I don't know, like sitting here watching both of them this season, would you bet your life that neither of those guys are ever going to enter an All-Star conversation? One is in their third year, one is in his second year. I wouldn't bet my life on it. There's just so much talent with both of those players, so heady. They play the right way. They do all the right things. Very exciting. That's all the reasons to be excited as a Knicks fan right now. Even if you're not all in on like, living in the mediocrity and the whole thing right this season, to have those two players on your team, that's exciting stuff. Any way you cut it. Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it. Andrew Palladino, give Quickley the Mitch Robb treatment and pay the man. He's a first true hit this front office has made in the draft. Quentin Grimes too, of course. Yeah. Yes. I guess again, talking about the numbers. Does 4 for 64 get it done? That I really do think that's a nice compromise. I think that's a nice compromise. We'll see, though. We'll see. Okay. Thank you, Andrew. I think that is it for us tonight. Big shout out to everybody for watching. Quick shout out to our one of our new sponsors who we love very much, Weiss and Rosenblum. Give them a call today. They are the sponsors of all of our personal injury updates, 212-366-6100. You could also visit them at weissandrosenblum.com. It was nice. We didn't have to do a personal injury report tonight because there were no injuries. Everybody's healthy, which is nice for this team right now that they're healthy. They're playing well. They're playing together. We love that. I would just, again, implore Knicks fans everywhere. I know this is, most people are doing this, but take it from an old man who's seen a lot of shitty basketball. Enjoy the wins. The wins are good. We like the wins. Oh my God, Andrew Claw. Andrew, from when you're in the peanut gallery, Andrew, And we do have one more super chat, by the way. Andrew texted me. There was an injury. Gafford's pride. Gosh. Yes. Call. I hope Daniel Gafford calls Weiss and Rosenblum, to maybe make a claim against Julius Randle. Danny Gardner with our. I think this is our last super chat. If Tibbs didn't love coaching, he'd make a hell of a GM. The guy knows talent and heart. A Tibbs player is a good player. I would say maybe front office like senior advisor. Also, if he's gonna, he shouldn't be coaching. If he's gonna be the GM. But yeah, man, you know, I think Tibbs has been good for this team. He's not perfect. He's never going to be perfect, and he's a lot for most people. He's just never going to be their cup of tea. But they needed this team. This franchise needed him. I don't know how long they're going to need him for, but they needed him, and I think they're lucky to have him this year. Thanks, Danny. Appreciate that. Okay, now we're out. Don't forget, follow us on all the channels at Knicks Film School, SKOOL. If you're watching this video, hit the like button so more people can see us and see it and get some more exposure. And oh wait, hold on, Andrew's late breaking one last super chat. I love again. Andrew's like producing from the corner. Daniel Carlisto. Let's end on a fun note. Deuce McBride, headband or no? I like him with the afro. I feel like it's a little bit more intimidating. I feel like it gives him a little extra added height. So I'll go. Can he do the headband with the? No, I feel like with the afro, no headband's the way to go. That's my feeling there. That's a good way to end it. Thank you, Daniel. Okay. Get out of here. See everybody on Sunday. Early game on Sunday. So we'll catch you for, brunch mimosas. Hopefully after New York's third win in a row. Giddy up.